Welcome back. You're watching Buy Now, Sell Now on ET Now, and it is time to take the viewer queries. Remember, for all of our viewers, we are live on all the social media platforms, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook. You can catch us live there. Send in your queries and all of them will get answers. So let's get going with the first query for the day, and this is from Nino Kuruvilla. She's asking, is it prudent to enter GNA Axles at current level for long-term investment? Coming to you, Kunal, on this particular stock, definitely had a good movement over the last 1 year, but does it make sense right now to enter this stock for a long haul?
It's not a bad chart. I think the stock recovery has been quite strong from 130, 140. Somewhere in March 2020, it's recovered to almost 400 plus, which it tested few months back. So I think it's been a good recovery, 3x, almost a 2.5 to 3x kind of recovery into the stock prices. Now I think like what happens into a routine correction, that the stock is as well as going through a time correction. So it's a good stock. It seems to be a good stock. The only catch with these kind of names or offbeat stocks is the low liquidity which is present into these names. So that's the only catch with stocks like GNA XL. But I think a buy and dip strategy could be a good strategy. You can start at current levels of 350 approximately and look at adding for the stock at every 10% drop. I think that could be a good strategy to average GNA XL and then hold on to it from a longer term view.
All right. Manas Gore has written to us saying that he's bought Tata Chemicals at 816 rupees per share. He wants to know what's the outlook for this particular company for about for the next 1 year. Vijay, I'll come to you on Tata Chemicals. Definitely the buying price is at a higher level over the last 5 days. This particular counter has seen a sharp downtick as well. But how's the outlook looking for Tata Chemicals over the next 1 year?
I think that there are certain things we need to understand. One, that Tata Chemicals has, I'm just telling about the valuation piece, so don't worry. Number one, it holds about 2.5% in Tata Sons. In Tata Chemicals, we also have Rallis India, which is a pharma company, so that business also is in Tata Chemicals. Apart from that, they have Tata Salt and Tata Sampann brands, which are also contributing a large chunk to the business. Apart from this, they have Tata Green Batteries, and the biggest thing is, which is a futuristic business, that they are going to set up a state-of-the-art plant in UK for EV batteries, and they are spending big time to create India as a big hub for EV batteries in the coming years. And I think that Tata has the capacity and capability to do that and become a global EV battery brand. So I'm not at all worried about Tata Chemicals, and it's a great company, great portfolio stock. And if at all you can buy more around maybe 720, 700, if at all it comes a bit lower, it would be a great buy at these levels. So just keep on accumulating. I see Tata Chemicals at 1500 to 2000 with 2 to 3 years perspective. And this gentleman seemingly is a long-term investor. So Tata Chemical has a lot of value. The real fair value of the stock even today is about 900 rupees. So don't worry, you're buying an undervalued story, and there's a very good business in store and a futuristic business which gives a lot of confidence.
Vijay, so sorry to interrupt. We have to take about 15 to 20 queries, so I'm going to request you to keep your answers a little shorter. We're going to go across to Kunal now for a view on Crompton. We've got Tarun who's asking whether it's a good time to buy at this moment.
So I think it's been a phenomenal stock, done extremely well at 370, 372. I think it's just about nearing a support level. So I would suggest that buy on dips. I think it's a good stock to hold, done extremely well in the second half of 2020 and in this recovery of post-COVID as well. But I think buy on dips could be a good strategy starting from current levels and adding at maybe a 340 or 335 levels if the stock happens to correct to that zone.
Slipping into a short break as of now. We're slipping into a short break as of now. We'll be back on the other side with a lot more, so do stay tuned.
powered by Century Ply. आग से बचाए.
When you are India's most experienced market anchor, you don't just ask the right questions, you make statements.
With each passing day, this market is becoming better, and with each passing day, this market is only telling you that if you've participated on every decline, you've actually made money. If the normalization in the world will happen, demand which in a sense got destroyed will automatically make a comeback.
When you believe in India's growth story, you will be known for your acumen.
The long-haul FII who looks at India as still a promised land for an consumption and for a growth revival destination, that pretty much is in the game. This crisis has surprised, I would say delighted, and has given birth to a new cult culture, both locally and globally.
Nikunj Dalmia, only on ET Now.
अधिकतर प्लाईवुड से फॉर्मेलिन गैस का एमिशन होता है जो सेहत के लिए हानिकारक है. फर्नीचर बनाए सिर्फ ग्रीन प्लाई से, जो लाया है इंडिया का पहला जीरो एमिशन प्लाई.
E0 चुनो, खुल के सांस लो.
Get real. Get Amstrad.
Welcome back, and let's quickly get on board our next viewer query, and this one is specifically for Kunal. Rajan Vittal is asking your view on Kotak Mahindra Bank and wants to know whether it's a good time to enter and hold for the next 1 year, Kunal.
I definitely think so. I think it's a good stock to hold on. The best part about the banking stocks, as I was highlighting earlier, was that these stocks have already gone through a 15 to 20% correction on large cap names. Now, in any kind of a bull market or a strong uptrend, a 20% correction into the stocks, makes them as very good entry point. And we are talking of not mid cap names, we are talking of classic large cap names. So I think at 1690, 1700 zone for Kotak Bank, it's also nearing its 200-day moving average, which I think, if I'm not wrong, is at 1650 level. So I think it's a good point to start buying Kotak Bank at current levels, specifically if you have a longer term view.
I want to mark what you're seeing on the bottom of your screen. Sources are telling us that the Delhi government is likely to impose a curfew beginning tonight till next Monday morning in a bid to curb the COVID-19 cases. We'll bring you more on that in just a bit. For now, let's go to the next query. Danny Varghese is asking about Aarti Drugs. And Vijay, coming to you on this one, what are the long-term prospects? Would you say it's a good opportunity to buy?
This company is into APIs, and I think that all the companies which are into APIs, they've been doing fantastically. So I would recommend a hold on this stock, and I would say that this company would keep on showing 20-25% return year on year. So it's a portfolio stock according to me. So just hold on to the stock, and I'm sure that there's good money to be made over a period of time. My personal target for this stock is over 1,000 rupees. So keep on holding it.
So a viewer query is coming from Krishna. He's saying that he's bought Canara Bank at 133 rupees per share. He wants to know, would you recommend to average out and buying it at dips? And the time horizon is that he's a long-term investor as well. So Kunal, what's your take on Canara Bank? What would you recommend the viewer to do?
Very tough one. PSU banking stocks had a fantastic run, start of 2021. Where many of these stocks had given returns of 40% to 50% in a very short span of time, and now the markets are or the sector is sulking in as well in a very similar kind of a magnitude. Canara Bank, I think, is a very tough one to crack because the stock is high beta, and it if I have to suggest, I'll probably suggest that shift to SBI. That's a more stable stock. And when the PSU banking stocks had rallied, SBI was one of the first stock to hit back above its lifetime high levels and go beyond that as well. So I think if I have to advise, I would advise that shift from Canara Bank to SBI. And even if the stock goes through another maybe a 10%, 5% correction, look that or take that as a good averaging opportunity, and specifically from a longer term view. So I would suggest a shift from Can Bank to SBI.
All right, coming to you for the next one, Vijay. This one is from Shrikant. He's asking about Sequent Scientific. Is it a good stock to add for the long term?
Well, I think that it's a good company, and it primarily works in the animal health space and agri space. And I would say that, although this stock has shown a fantastic run up over the period of last couple of years, but still I think there is still steam left. So it can be bought into, and if somebody has already bought it, I think that it can, even stretch up to 300. So no problems with the stock, so to say. Just keep on holding it.
Next viewer query is coming from Shanti. He's saying that please suggest a good entry price for AU Small Finance Bank. Is it likely to correct on account of lockdown in Rajasthan state? What's your view on AU Small Finance Bank, Kunal? How does the chart look for this particular counter?
Very high beta stock, completely, I would say, off the characteristics of the private sector banks, which tend to be more stable on the charts. Off late, specifically in the last 1 or 2 months, the stock, for example, has corrected from 1300 levels to 1000 levels, so more than a 30% correction in the stock price in just a matter of 1 month, at a time when many of the private sector banks had corrected just about 15 to 20% odd. In terms of support levels or a good entry point, I would suggest that if the stock comes back to its 200-day moving average, that could be a good zone for you to start buying AU Small Finance Bank. I think that level is closer to 900, 910 for AU Small Finance Bank. So I would suggest that if the stock comes back to that kind of a level, which is 10% lower from the current market price, then I think you should look to start buying. But just one catch, that it's a high beta stock as compared to the other private sector banks.
All right, the next question coming to you on this one, Vijay. I'm hoping that you have a view on this because it's a micro cap stock. Vimta Lab is the counter that I'm talking about. Srinivas has a question asking whether he should enter for at least a year.
As I don't track the stock very actively, but again, I can look at the charts. I would say that, the stock has the potential to go up to 300 odd if somebody holds with a long-term perspective. Although, as I said, I do not track the stock actively. But again, as I said earlier, I think that Aarti is a much better company to have it in the portfolio rather than Vimta. So I would say that these are times when you should go with names which are more stable, balance sheets which are better, and companies which have showed growth and resilience in these times of pandemic. So no point of jumping here or there. I think that Aarti is a much better company than Vimta.
The next query is coming from Abhishek Kohli. He wants to know what's the view on IDFC First Bank. Vijay, you'd like to take this particular query?
Well, I think that IDFC First Bank is, with a longer term perspective, I like the bank. At these valuations, the valuations are very, very convincing. And I think that, if somebody starts nibbling at these levels, it can go up to 70, 75. So it's a great risk reward at this point of time. Looking at the balance sheet and the growth prospects and the size of the bank and the management at the helm, which are primarily, very seasoned people in the banking space. So it's a great risk reward. Buy at these levels, keep on nibbling. And I think that the stock can go up to 70, 75 comfortably. It's a good return.
The next question I'm going to take is, well, it's not necessarily a comparison that you would normally see, right, Vijay? But you've got KK, I believe he's trying to decide which to add to his portfolio. And he's looking at Bata India as opposed to SKF India. Which one would you suggest is a better entry?
Tata has shown weakness in the recent times. So SKF, I would recommend an SKF which is trading at about 2100 odd, has the potential of going up to 2500. So SKF seemingly on the charts and fundamentally looks much better than Tata as of now.
All right. There's another query that's coming from Jignesh. He wants to know the view on NIT Tech, also SCI as well as IDBI. But SCI and IDBI on back of the divestment candidature. Vijay, what's your view on both of these counters?
IDBI, I think that at these levels, it is a very convincing valuation. We have to understand one thing, that LIC also is a stakeholder. And if LIC is going public sooner or later, there's going to be some kind of a value unlocking happening in IDBI. So I would say that, at these levels, it can be nibbled into, and not a bad idea to have IDBI in the portfolio.
All right, let's get just one more question in. If we can get a question in on Bajaj Finance. We've got Mukesh who's asked a question. Can you buy Bajaj Finance at the current price? Is the question, Kunal.
I think it's a tough one again, because Bajaj Finance has been one of the large cap financial services stock which has corrected very sharply. It seems, that any time when the market shows signs of weakness, we see Bajaj Finance, falling very sharply. So that's not a good sign that, the stock is very susceptible towards, selling pressure. This generally indicates that the selling is not over for the stock. And, you could probably see a drop of another, 300, 400 points possible on Bajaj Finance. So if the query is restricted towards short term, I would suggest that wait for some more time, maybe another couple of weeks, let the stock or the selling settle off. If that happens and the stock, say, settles down below that 4,000 mark, I think then it could be a good entry point for Bajaj Finance.
All right, Vijay, our next viewer queries come from Anup Kumar. He wants to know about Kalyan Jewellers. What would be the right time to enter this particular stock, or rather what would be a target price to aim for Kalyan Jewellers?
Well, I think that the company is still very new, and forming a view on such a company which is recently listed, we do not have much data, but I think that, there are better players in this space. I think that, be with Titan if somebody wants to be in the jewelry space. So I like Titan, and if at all the market touches about 13,600, I would recommend that buy a Titan and not a Kalyan Jewellers. Although it's a very new company, with all due respect, I really don't understand about the fundamentals and the financials as yet. Let it post few results and let it prove its mettle in the market for some time. So I would recommend a Titan over Kalyan Jewellers.
All right, Vijay, on that note, thank you so much for joining in and for sharing your views. Kunal as well, thank you so much for taking the time. Both of you have a lovely rest of Monday. Hopefully things get better in the second half of this trading session. But let me go across live now to Ruchi Bhatia, who's joining in with the latest updates that are coming in from New Delhi. Remember, New Delhi, like places like Maharashtra, dealing with a spurt in COVID-19 cases. And we're learning that perhaps the government is going to step in to curb the spread of the virus by imposing fresh restrictions. Ruchi, what are you hearing?
Well, absolutely right. We're given to understand that the restrictions are going to be imposed in the national capital. This even as the national capital is seeing a massive surge in COVID cases. Just look at the last, numbers from the last 24 hours. New Delhi has reported fresh infections of close to 25,000 cases. And besides that, a positivity rate of close to 29.7%, which goes to show that 1 in every 3 people are infected by coronavirus. We're seeing a lack of beds, lack of medical oxygen, lack of important drugs like remdesivir in the national capital. And that's precisely the reason that we have seen the Delhi government now stepping in. After the weekend curfew, we're given to understand that the Delhi government is likely to impose curfew for the next 1 week or so. This is to, of course, contain the spread of coronavirus. This even as traders have also said that they will be imposing a self-imposed lockdown in all of the big markets, whether it is Lajpat Nagar, Chandni Chowk, Karol Bagh. So all of the other important markets will remain shut as well. The Delhi government had said that they will not impose a lockdown because they are concerned about the livelihoods of people. But clearly the situation is out of control. We do not have enough beds in the national capital, and which is also one of the reasons that the Delhi government reached out to the central government as well, especially the Railways Ministry. They have asked them to convert coaches into beds with high flow oxygen and make at least 5,000 beds available over the next few weeks in areas such as Anand Vihar railway station as well as Chakur Basti as well. Besides that, we're given to understand that the other facilities, whether it was in Yamuna complex or areas such as Radha Swami Satsang Byas, in terms of beds, will also be made available in the next few days. The situation in the national capital really a cause of concern now, with the lack of, as I said, beds as well as the high-grade medical oxygen as well that we're seeing, and which is why now the Delhi government has decided to go ahead with this lockdown at a time that the big focus now will be to contain the spread of coronavirus. In fact, Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal is set to hold a press briefing at about noon today, and we will be hearing more about that in that press briefing.
Definitely, Ruchi. Situation in the capital is pretty grim and across the country as well. Thank you for getting us that latest coming in, that the sources are saying the Delhi government is likely to announce curfew from tonight onwards. The announcement will be the announcement is likely shortly. That is when Delhi Chief Minister will be addressing at noon. So that is a crucial development for all of us to watch out for. But on that note, we'll slip into a break on this edition of